How's it going, everybody? This is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another edition of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. This week, we are going to focus on the luxury market and specifically on how to be the best luxury agent you can be. We all know that the higher end properties pose a certain challenge for the agents in terms of the way that we market the property, the time that the luxury home may spend on the market, and even dealing with the clientele. We may need a different strategy for the luxury market and those higher end homes. So who better to reach out to today to talk about the luxury market than Joanne Sloan? Joanne is a manager and business consultant for HSA affiliates countrywide, and she specializes in the luxury and resort markets. She's a true expert and definitely the one to talk to about all things luxury, so let's get into it with Joanne and we'll pick it up on the other side. So I'm here today with Joanne Sloan, and Joanne, I know that you are in a beautiful place right now, Palm Harbor, Florida. So thank you for joining me today. How is the weather down there?
Actually, today, Jason, is a perfect day. We've had our typical Florida weather for a couple of days, hot and humid. So today we have hot, not so humid. So that makes it a perfect day for us.
well, you know what? Like I had mentioned prior to us going, and recording this, that we had Jimmy Burgess on when it was like deathly cold here. And of course, he was nice and warm. And now the switch kind of flips where you guys get all the humidity and it's nice here today. It's like 75 degrees and sunny.
Exactly.
So, I would say that you probably envy me right now in the summertime rather than the other way around. So
you have that right.
So we're here today. We're going to be talking about being the best luxury agent that you can be. So right off the bat, Joanne, how do you yourself define what the luxury market is?
What the luxury market is at this point in time, or how would I define luxury?
Just define luxury in general, because sometimes that can be different from market to market, right? Price points, everything, everything else. It depends where you are.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right, Jason. And I love that question because that is the question. What is luxury? What makes a luxury property, right? So luxury is above and beyond anything else. I would say luxury is an experience. So no matter what we are purchasing, if it's $1 million or if it's $1,000, if we feel like $1 million by holding it, having it, talking about it, living in it, that is luxury. Luxury is an experiare
I love that answer. It's almost like a lifestyle, right? We all want to be luxurious from time to time.
Those are my words. Where did you hear those, Jason? You must have.
You know what? I don't know. I guess you're channeling me. Yes, P. So along those lines, what are some of the differences from doing business in the luxury market as opposed to the non-luxury market? I think that's one of the biggest things for some of our agents who maybe haven't delved into that sphere yet. What are some of those differences between the luxury and non-luxury?
Oh, yeah, there are some distinct differences. Let's start with the client first, and then we'll talk about the property. Most of the time when we are dealing with the luxury clientele, they have discretionary income. They have more money than we do. They have usually achieved a higher level of success, which is what contributes to their higher net worth. And they are extremely knowledgeable people. They are discerning with who they associate with. And I would say that pretty much defines the persona of the luxury client. Now, the difference between dealing with that client and, like maybe a first-time home seller or a first-time home buyer is that we need to be, as luxury agents, more knowledgeable than average, right? Because the luxury client really values knowledge. They rely on knowledge in a lot of different arenas in their lives. They are accustomed to having trusted advisors in different arenas. They have business attorneys, estate planners, they have different types of financial experts that they rely on. And so we can position ourselves as the trusted real estate advisor. And in order to earn that qualification, we must demonstrate that we are more knowledgeable than most people about all things real estate related. And that includes pricing and marketing. So I would say that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I agree with you. Delving into that realm, I do find that those clients are very discerning on, like you said, who they choose, what brand they go with, what is your knowledge base, and they will test you a lot of time.
Yeah, they do. They test you.
And they are not first-time home buyers.
Right.
Me personally, I love first-time home buyers.
Of course.
Everything that you have to say, and you come off sounding great. And I do find that not everybody, but the majority of the luxury market, they will test you. They will test your knowledge, right? So you have to be on your P's and Q's going into any listing appointment with them. So
yeah, 100%. Know your facts, know how the market's performing, and another qualification is confidence.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think you have to go in there. You almost have to do a power pose before you go into it.
Yes. Take a nice deep breath. I've got this.
So let's just say you're an experienced agent and you've been around and you're a good agent. You're a good agent. Right? You've been around for 10, 15 years and you want to break into the luxury market. How do you make a name for yourself in that market if that hasn't been your niche since, the beginning of your career? Say you're selling houses that are, a good price point, but they're not in that luxury range. How do you break into that market?
It is one thing that most of our luxury clients appreciate is that aspect of humility. So please do not be fearful of humble beginnings. A lot of times, very successful people like to give an ambitious person who is dedicated their first lucky break.
Mm-hmm.
And that many times that's the key that opens the door to the first luxury listing. You come in prepared, you have your pricing strategy, you have your marketing plan, you demonstrate confidence, and then you're an honest individual. So it is not unusual to hear, this would be my first opportunity, and I will go like 199% for you, right?
I love
that.
Yeah, I love that because that actually rings true whether it's your first listing or it's your first luxury listing. I think showing that vulnerability and honesty to somebody, I think actually carries a lot of weight, because one thing you could always say is that, my competition, yes, they've been in that market for a while, but they have 20 listings in the luxury market right now. My focus and my full attention will be on you because this is my first luxury home and I want to do my best for you. I feel like that makes total sense.
Absolutely. Now, that having been said, Jason, we must go in fully prepared with a strong marketing plan. This means that you'll be spending time, aspiring luxury agents, on educating yourself on many, many aspects of luxury real estate. So take that time to become knowledgeable and then take a deep breath and ask for the business, and you'll get your first listing. And then they build from there, don't they, Jason?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think if you do a good job, just like anything else, it could be catering, it could be anything else that's in sales, that if you do a good job, word of mouth spreads. And, they tell one person, they tell the next person, and so on and so on. And before you know it, you've made a career in the higher end. And I know agents specifically like that got one luxury listing and that led to, 20 more down the line. So let's talk a little bit about, you say you have to be ready. You have to be very knowledgeable, and you have to go into these things with a lot of confidence. Let's talk about just the listing appointment itself. Is there anything that stands out to you as a luxury agent that you can do in a listing appointment that is going to potentially separate you from the competition, right? One of the things that I tend to do is I've gone completely digital with my listing presentation. And I usually send something ahead of time to a pre-listing packet, do the two-step. We've gone over that with one of our managers about the listing presentation. But is there something in your mind that stands out? Now we have the luxury collection. We have, different materials for luxury. So in your mind, is there something that makes you stand out amongst your competition?
Yes. So that is great. My ears perked up when you said the two-step. And can we talk about that approach? I think that's the differentiator. Yeah. And I know a lot of agents are fearful of the two-step process. I would say when it comes to luxury, you need to really give it a try, because your first visit with your seller is going to be to tour the property where you're taking notes, which we're accustomed to doing anyway. But the power of taking notes on that first walkthrough is that on your second visit, you will actually be using the seller's words to show how you are going to market the house. Mm-hmm. The seller is pointing out features of the home. And when you come back to seal the deal, so to speak, you are using the customer's words and weaving them into your marketing plan. So Jason, you and your wife pointed out how much you love this area of the kitchen. The sun comes in the morning. You can watch the butterflies land on your award-winning gardens. You've actually seen deer, running through the private forest that you have in your backyard. And one of the shots, or several of the shots that we take to market your property, will be to capture those intimate moments. And that's the experience that the seller is giving you on that first visit and pointing out the features, and then you come back. And that, my friends, is magic. Using the seller's words to show how you'll be marketing their property is like the sound of someone's name, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, people like to be acknowledged, right? And it shows that you're paying attention to what they're saying when you give it back to them. At your next meeting, it shows that you've actually been paying attention during a listing appointment, which actually goes a long way.
And you know what? That's a perfect way to summarize how to differentiate yourself, is that you're paying attention to the seller and you're not promoting yourself.
Yes, exactly. It's what the seller wants and what the seller needs. It's not about us, the realtor. It's about us.
I know, right?
All right. It's about them, when we go out to a property. And just to make sure, the definition for those listening of the two-step is, it could be a pre-listing packet that you send out ahead of time before going out there. It can be going through the property, separated from actually your marketing plan, but it's a two-step process. It's you do X and then Y, and then hopefully get to Z, which is getting the listing signed. So, and also those luxury properties tend to be larger, and so if you do just one meeting, then you're there for a long time. And maybe the sellers are kind of, if they're a power personality, which many of the luxury market sellers are, they just want the facts. Just give me what you got, and then we want you to get out of here, basically. So if you're there for 3 hours, touring the property for an hour and a half, and then you're going over marketing plans, you're going over the comparable properties, that may be too much. Wouldn't you say, Joanne?
It really is. So one of the ways that I position that first meeting, Jason, is, I need to come through the property with you. Give me a tour. You're going to point out all of the features you want to be sure that I showcase in my marketing. And I will also be looking through the lens of which photographers I will select and which videographers I will select. the times of day that we want to shoot. So this is all very important for the production and the reveal of your property to go onto the market. And then after that, I'll be able to formulate my marketing plan, and then we can talk about the numbers and the plan, and that will be a much quicker meeting.
Yeah, I think, I love what you say there. Detail, right? When it comes to these kind of properties. I had a photo shoot recently where, this day and age, I think the vast majority of agents out there have a professional photographer. They may have a videographer. But I really liked what you said there about the time of day, because I had a couple of photo shoots and video shoots for listings recently where we specifically targeted, say, 4:30 in the afternoon because of the sun angle and the light, and the pictures and the video just came out just unbelievable. They call it the golden hour, so those golden hour shots were just like amazing to see. And it really does make a difference if they know down to the hour that you're going to be coming out, that it shows that you really have put a lot of thought and care into their property, right?
Yeah, that's so brilliant, Jason. Knowing like that golden hour and knowing that you want to capture that and what you want to capture, and different photographers have different skills. Mm-hmm. And this, when you're in the luxury space, you want as many specialists as you can rely upon, and then you communicate that to your sellers that I have an award-winning photographer who is extraordinary with the intimate details. So I will be bringing Tyler in for that purpose. We'll shoot this and this and this, and you have the 3 details in particular, and then the same thing with maybe the panoramic shots. I use Drew for all my panoramic shots. He's exquisite at that. And then you've got your drones. The details is what makes a luxury experience. So part of being a successful luxury agent is you are also creating a luxury experience for your seller by virtue of them working with you. You need to hand your services to them on a platter, just as if we were purchasing an LV bag and they would bring it down from the shelf and put a cloth down. It's the same idea, you guys. Present your skills on a platter. Oh, that's the first time I've ever said that, Jason.
I'll tell you what, you need to trademark that, Joanne. That is a fantastic statement. And yeah, I totally agree with you. It is that Louis Vuitton bag, right? That is on the top shelf there, and they're bringing it down. And not everybody gets to handle that bag, nor do I want to touch that bag, because if I break it, I bought it, and I'm not buying that. So, I think your point there is really spot on, because that's kind of how I feel going into those things where, the listing appointments, and you have to be that concierge, right? You have to have a stable of people behind you that you can pull out for the seller. If they have this problem, that's okay. We got this person. If they have this problem, that's okay. You have an answer for everything that they need. You are that kind of like that steward or like that butler for their property, right? Right. In terms of real estate, and you're there to accommodate them. That's kind of how I feel when I go out on a luxury appointment, which is very different from a typical appointment that I may have. So let's talk a little bit more about marketing with the luxury sphere. And, sometimes you need to position a luxury home different places than you would put your non-luxury homes. And so can we talk a little bit about that? What are some best practices, do you think? Some universalities. Is that a word, universal? I think it is.
I love that word.
Sounds very official to me. So I'm going with it. So what are some best practices, do you think, marketing wise? So for instance, yes. Luxury homes may be marketed in a national publication, whether that's the Wall Street Journal or some international publications, we can use that to our benefit to market to our clients.
Right.
What do you think separates some of that luxury marketing?
Right. So there's the typical syndication, right? Assuming that your luxury listing is going into the MLS, you have your typical syndication that way, and then we have the additional, ports that will be fed with your listing as virtue of the brand. So we have Wall Street Journal, we have Mansion Global, and all of that, and all of those details are listed on the luxury collection property journey. We have that map. And then I know at Fox and Roach, for example, you have additional outlets where you publish. Now, what you can do, which is a cut above, and I would communicate to your sellers that you will be doing this. Your personal networking is a magic bullet to the seller when it comes to marketing their property. So you have an entire network around the globe, 50,000 plus agents. And there are specific places where we go to look for new properties on the market, the new reveals. And that would be your luxury collection Facebook group. It's a closed group, your luxury collection chatter group. And then start to build your database of luxury collection specialists from around the network, as starting with your feeder markets. So identify your feeder markets and the luxury collection specialist. Build your own database if you don't have one available through your company, and you personally market. So one of the things you'll let your seller know is, in addition to being syndicated out to and featured on Wall Street Journal and showing up on Mansion Global, I will put you on the showcase page of the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services global website. I will submit your property to be featured on the Berkshire Hathaway social media channels, in addition to my companies, Fox and Roaches. I will do that. And then the most important aspect is that I network personally with agents in our industry around the globe, within my company and externally, to introduce your property to them. And I have a database of about 1,000 luxury agents around the globe.
Yeah, I love that. And you have to have that nowadays. And I think, it was important before, but now it's really, really important, because one thing I feel like that has changed, is COVID has changed the landscape for a lot of people. And we're in the Philadelphia metro area, most of our offices, and we've seen people coming out of the cities to buy, and a lot of people from New York have headed down here, and they're looking, in places up in the New York market. And so you have to be able to network throughout the country and get the word out about your luxury properties. And like you said, that kind of is that magic bullet. For a seller, they want to know that it's reaching far and wide. And also, hey, let's be honest, it's an ego thing too, right? We're marketing their property far and wide because it's that spectacular that we're going to reach, across to Europe with it,
Right. They
want to know that's happening for their property.
Yeah. And something, Jason, is that a lot of companies that would be capable of marketing a luxury listing do that. They have reach and they have range. And I would say the one difference that we can accentuate is our ability to influence. So range, reach, and influence, which, as most of us know, is Alan Dalton's tenet for being above and beyond. The influence factor is by you explaining to your seller, you will personally make that reach out campaign to the agents who are likely to have buyers of the profile. So it could be a call, it could be a personalized email, it could be a note card, but that's the above and beyond part.
Yeah, that's that like cherry on top of your marketing.
Yeah, that's the luxury, baby.
Yeah, there you go. So, so a couple more questions. Do you find, because I found this at least in our area, that the month supply of inventory on the luxury market right now is about as low as I've ever seen it since I've started. In our area, if you got a luxury, listing, maybe you would sell it within a year.
right?
Maybe.
Yep.
Now, I mean, we're seeing them go in a few weeks, and it's just really startling to see. I mean, it's a good thing, but it is very unique. So, has the lack of inventory changed the way that you would strategize marketing a luxury property?
Right.
Has anything changed in terms of, maybe where you position an ad, or maybe just your overall strategy that you would have, the timeline to market?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So less and less print media.
Yeah,
Right.
that's my thought. That's my
Less and less of that. Yeah. We could still do, if you do enjoy sending out those jumbo postcards to your select database. We can still do that, because that is part of a luxury experience. We don't want to cut too short on the luxury experience, but we can cut down on some of those expenses or those longer term plans. You know how when we make our marketing plans, we have the first 2 weeks, right? And then we have the first couple of months, and then we have the 6-month strategy. So we're pretty much we're focused on that short-term strategy.
And I think, and having that strategy, I think also is a differentiator. If you go in, you really have to have a custom plan for each of these listings, and it's not a one size fits all when it comes to the luxury market. Wouldn't you say that?
Yep. Well, that's the key word there, Jason, is customization. And we have a suggested tier plan of marketing. So if you have a legacy property, very, very high end, there might be a catered broker open, for example, or there could be a celebrity type event. Not all properties require that. Some do, but there are more and more experiences that can be built around all of the luxury price points. And that's the key going forward, ladies and gentlemen. Create an experience regardless of the price point. Find some way to really impress upon the customer that they were there in that house with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mentioned COVID earlier, on the selling side and kind of where that's driving things. How has COVID changed what luxury buyers are looking for, do you think? Because we see people that need, for instance, in COVID, now they want more office space because they're working from home more. I mean, what do you see out there in terms of luxury buyers and what they're looking for?
Right. No, great question. And typically the features that a luxury buyer is interested in would be places to gather family, friends, or business associates. Wellness was very much a part of the luxury home for all levels, from the C-suite on up to the legacy property, and then privacy and convenience. So now what's going to be incumbent upon us is that homes are not necessarily designed totally for work from home, especially if you have 2 workers from home. We can use our words to show that this area can be repurposed for dual offices. Those are like keywords, dual offices, right? Dual master closets is a big thing. You go from your yoga studio or your home gym, to a wellness center. So we're just looking to expand those terms a little bit. Homeschooling is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to show that, this is the perfect space for the in-home classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's, I just had some luxury buyers, and that's exactly what they're looking for. They want the dual offices. They want the home gym, or, the wellness center, as you put it, which is, which is great. You specifically mentioned yoga, which my client does.
Yeah, right.
and then they actually did homeschool their children throughout the pandemic. So yes, I mean, that's a huge, you just touched on 3 really important facts. It's almost like you were describing my buyers. So I mean, I do think that that's vitally important, that we recognize that nowadays, because that has shifted a little bit. I felt like prior to the pandemic that maybe people were opting to go a little bit smaller in size because maybe they wanted to travel more. Or they wanted, different things out of life.
Yes.
Now we feel like we need more space again, because we are going to be working from home now.
Yes.
Our area is big into pharma. We have a lot of pharma in the Philadelphia metro area. And so we do get a lot of people from those areas, and they are actually almost, I don't want to say to a person, but many of them are now working from home. And we even find them moving out of the area because now, since they're working from home, they're listing their properties and they're moving. Right. I had one that recently moved to Texas because now she was going to be working from home and it didn't matter anymore. She moved to Austin. So, so it's a very interesting time to be in the luxury market. So one last question to you. If you're an agent out there and you want to be clever about marketing to try and pick up some of these listings, because let's be honest, the luxury market is a very challenging segment. There are a lot of top-notch agents in that segment that you're going against. Everybody wants to try and find kind of the silver bullet to get listings out there. Where should a clever agent market to? Maybe we didn't think about to maybe get some luxury listings.
Oh, that's a great question. I'll share my personal experience. Mm-hmm. I personally did not enter into the luxury market by vying for a luxury residence as a listing. Mine was through getting connected with the right people. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was, I specialized with investors. And I don't mean, big time investors, the investor who picked up a condo or one single family home. And I made it a point to become very knowledgeable about real estate investing. And remember that knowledge is key. And then what ends up happening is you develop a reputation within that niche market. And then they start to refer you even outside of the realm of investment real estate because of your customer service, because of your knowledge, because of your marketing savvy. So wherever you are, just do the best job that you can, and you will start to find those people. But I would say those investment properties, look in your tax records, find those properties that are not where the owner is, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-resident owner. Mm-hmm. And start reaching out and seeing if they would be interested. If you've considered selling, I can help you with that at this time. And those are good people to start connecting with.
I love that idea. That is kind of like one of those under the radar ideas. And we always say it's always who you know, right? And so if you're not quote unquote playing in the right sandboxes, then you want to try and find your way in there by networking and getting into some different spheres where maybe those people gravitate towards, right? And so that might be a networking group, that might be a chamber of commerce, that might be an investor group like you had mentioned. Right. For me, I feel like I've played the long game. You have buyers that maybe are buying properties with you, starting a family, and they're at a price point where it's a good price point, but it's not a luxury price point. And now, it's 10 years later, and now they want to buy in that luxury market, or they want to list in that luxury market. And all of a sudden, here you are.
Love it.
And hopefully you can get their friends and family who are also in that luxury market. So sometimes you got to play the long game. But I think networking, obviously, is still so vitally important to what we do. So much of what we want to do now is, I feel like, very impersonal, and I feel like we have to get personal to maybe get some of those listings.
Absolutely. Yeah. Stay in touch with your people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Joanne, this was absolutely awesome. So I really appreciate the time that you took from your schedule today to join us. I know it's beautiful down there in Palm Harbor. So,
well, the time flew by. I had an absolute blast. Good luck to everybody who's listening in. And I'll see you out there, Jason.
Joanne was so fun to talk to, and she really knows her stuff when it comes to that luxury market. So a couple takeaways that I had from the interview with Joanne this week. Number one, first and foremost, Joanne defines luxury as creating an experience for your clients. And so we need to go into any luxury property, any luxury listing, or potentially working with a luxury buyer as creating that luxury experience for them. We are that trusted advisor for our clients. We've done the research. We have the knowledge. We have answers to the questions that they may have. And also we have vendors behind us that can act as a supportive role to what they want. It's all about the client in the luxury market and how we best serve them. Number two, customize your strategy and how you're going to market that property for your clients. You know, these luxury listings are often very unique properties. They may have some very, very specific things to them that you want to stand out when you're actually marketing that property out to the masses. And finally, number three, if you want more luxury listings and you want to get into that marketplace, then you have to find where those clientele are, right? We have to network in those places. So you may have to switch up your marketing strategy to fit where those clientele are, and you have to network. Well, that's it for our episode this week. We will be back in another couple of weeks with a new topic, new guest. And as always, if you want to hear about something in particular you want me to cover during the podcast, don't be afraid to reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. And if you enjoy listening to the podcast, then please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. We always value your feedback. Thanks for listening this week, and remember, stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you next time on the Everything Real Estate Podcast.